What's going on Facebook, YouTube, Twitterverse? Don't have a whole lot for you today. Just a few things to talk about. Hope you made it through the storms we had this week. Yesterday was primary day in Wisconsin and a couple other states. Hope you were able to get your votes in, ballots and all that good stuff. Ooh, Joe Biden picked the new VP. Michael Flynn was in court again. And Trump had some visitors today at the White House. Let's get into it.
Frosty 3. Let the attack begin.
What's going on? Apparently something was wrong with my microphone. Well, we got that fixed. Anyway, Kamala Harris is Joe Biden's VP. The Lotus Vice POTUS, that's right. What are we going to do with that? I don't know. Not that I have a problem with Kamala Harris per se. I'm worried about what happens after this presidency. I'm worried about 4 years later. I think we needed somebody a little more progressive. Maybe she'll grow into that particular role. And we'll have to wait and see what happens there. Before we get into that, since my mic wasn't working, let me repeat myself. I want to send a very special shout out to some friends from my old residence. Dave and Leanne, happy anniversary. Happy anniversary to some friends that I've met in the last few years as well. Gary and Kathy, I wish you a happy anniversary. Before I get into it tonight, I want to remind everybody to like, subscribe, comment, share, do all that good stuff. I think we got our mic problems fixed. Kamala Harris. Now here's my reservation with this. I'm worried about everybody getting lulled to sleep. They're going to be so happy to get some relief if, in fact, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris win the upcoming election, that 4 years from now, we're going to be so lulled to sleep with being able to breathe and exhale again that we may end up getting somebody worse than Trump. So stay vigilant. Let's hope that we get more progressive as time goes on and less complacent. Michael Flynn has landed himself back in court yesterday. And it didn't seem at all favorable, considering what the judges were asking all kinds of questions. Looking flabbergasted and trying to figure out what the hell he was doing in there anyway after pleading guilty. But apparently Bill Barr had some secret reasons why Flynn, who pled guilty twice, by the way, and admitted to his crimes of lying to the FBI, which happened to be felonies, abruptly withdraws his pleas. And he does this shortly before he's about to get sentenced. Now, here's one issue that I have with this aside from the obvious, and that's Judge Sullivan could have simply sentenced him before Barr even got involved in all of this to begin with. If you go back and you remember when Flynn was going through his sentencing phase, and apparently the judge was upset about something in the hearing and didn't like the way things were going with Flynn, and basically gave Flynn another chance to reevaluate himself and adjust his attitude, and then he could come back into court and ask for leniency. And it seems that he's gotten a lot more leniency than anybody I've ever known. So apparently he stalled enough to with the judge's help in this case, to get Barr involved in it. To fire half the DOJ or half the DOJ quitting, leaving because of Barr's involvement and his secrets that, whether nefarious or not, caused him to have the DOJ withdraw from the case and get basically let Flynn go, drop the case. That's what they're in court now for I don't know how many times now. He's been in court on and off. This thing's been going on for a couple years. And all I can think about through all of this, I mean, is how do you get to play games in the courts for years upon years after pleading guilty and admitting to the stuff you did? Like, I just don't understand that myself. I mean, I don't know anybody that can, drag things out in court for years on end, and then all of a sudden somebody wants to come in and drop it for you because they like you all of a sudden, or you got some kind of secrets that they don't want getting out, which has been the modus operandi of this administration. And I think back of all the innocent people locked up that didn't have this opportunity, and some of those with questionable cases at that, and folks with things going on that have some questionable evidence and maybe false reporting and things like that seem to get overlooked. And then of course there are those that are innocent that get executed. But this guy, this Flynn guy, he gets to get off by his old buddy Barr there. He just gets to walk in like the white shining knight on a unicorn and say, "Excuse me, Judge, can we motion to have this dismissed?" I mean, I know he's guilty. He pled guilty twice to 2 counts, felony counts against the feds. But he needs to get off because, he's the president's friend now. And he probably has some things that we don't want him to talk about. But he's not completely at all, like I said, the judge before this could have sentenced him and took care of it and gotten rid of it and got it all taken care of. How's that for some medicine? So Trump walked out today with a specially selected group of doctors who seem to believe in him more than they do the science behind their jobs. Now, this burns me even to say this, but after each one of them praises Trump and pretty much kisses his shoes and tells him how great his leadership is through all of this, they continue to make excuses for you to put your kids, and by extension your families, at risk. And it was reminiscent of some quasi-Joseph Mengele type of shit, aside from the hypocrisy of it all, where Republicans believe you don't need the extensive schooling, or, I don't know how many years I've heard them preach, you don't need school, you don't need this, you don't have to go to all this school. And I'm talking seriously, Republicans are the only ones I've ever heard. I'm not talking about straight up conservatives, from conservative colleges and stuff, because I've had great debates with them. I'm talking about these Trump era Republicans out here that keep telling you don't need school and all this. They're the ones, the hypocrisy. They're the ones screaming and hollering your kids got to get in school. And we all know it has nothing to do with them actually going to school to get an education, right? The same ones telling you to pull your bootstraps up and fatten the pockets of those who simply look the same as them, or act the same as them, or talk the same as them. And aside from all that, and claiming that they're stealing your taxes on top of it, while you're ever so willing to give them more money of yours and with no returns. Makes no sense to me. So you're now willing to sacrifice your kids for the same damn thing. Unreal. Your kids. You saw this thing in 1930s Germany, and I can't believe these folks can't see that it's happening right now. Like, all this stuff is happening in real time with them right now. Same thing we seen in 1930s Germany. Now they got the doctors out here peddling this crap. None of them wanted to talk about science today. It was all about politics and praising Trump and Obviously, he found the right ones that support him and probably gave some money to him. Who knows? But it was on. It was broadcast this afternoon. They didn't put it on TV. If any of you get to watch that, it was more or less online. You could see it. It was kind of. It just looked. It looked too scripted, if you will. But I just want to remind you that once you have decided that your kids are expendable to fatten other people's pockets, and that you're okay with sacrificing your future, our future, with no idea of the long-term effects that this disease might have, once you go down that path, you give up your very soul. You give up a future for your kids and the future of our country for a brief sugar high moment, which I happen to think is pure ignorance. And willful ignorance at that. The worst kind. So I just want to remind you that the political climate is temporary. This Trump era is temporary. This pandemic should be temporary, although I don't know if we're going to prolong this thing or how long we're going to prolong this thing. But the lives of our loved ones are not temporary, especially when it comes to our kids. Now, you've heard me say this over all these different webcasts and podcasts, and those who know me personally outside of here, they hear me talking about this all the time. When you start sacrificing your kids for whatever reason, with no certainties or no guarantees, we're lost as a country, as a nation. It's how civilizations fail, outside of their economic destruction. The kids are the future. And as I said, all this stuff that's going on right now is temporary. You can make up lost time, but you can't bring back a loved one. The kids. So you may have your kids out of school for 6 months or a year, and as bad as that may be, and I always have to call into question the whole worry of virtual learning when they're actually in school virtually learning. The only difference the school has for them is that they have other kids that they can sit around with and be with for the social interaction. And I think you can do that for them on the weekends anyway, right? At least you can make do. I'm beginning to think that this whole homeschooling issue is, we have a problem with the teaching staff, with the homeschooling. I think it's the teaching staff we got a problem with. And someone always asks me, well, what? They always throw in this thing with the taxes, it always gets me. What am I paying taxes for? Well, you're paying taxes for the relief during a natural disaster or an unforeseen circumstance that may befall you or the country. And it is your job to make sure that your elected officials take care of the situations to keep you safe. Especially when it comes to natural disasters. That's what we're paying them for. And I just want to remind you, we wouldn't be this far right now if it wasn't for the incompetence of this moment. And I'm looking at it right now, currently. I'm going to hit the refresh button here from Johns Hopkins and see what our current numbers are. Last I checked, it was over the 5 million mark of infected. And globally, it was somewhere around 20 million. Let's see here. U.S. deaths. We're at 166,000. 166,000 deaths with no relief in sight as we currently stand, with 5,200,000 infected in the United States. And those are just reported ones. 20,500,000 globally. And we're leading in every category. The United States, number one in every single category. That's where we're at. Shower heads, you take a shower. The water doesn't come out. You want to wash your hands. The water doesn't come out. So what do? You just stand there longer or you take a shower longer. Because my hair, I don't know about you, but it has to be perfect. Perfect. Like cotton candy on top of a dreamsicle. It's got to be perfect, Trump said to laughter at an event in July on a rolling back regulations. All right, no, he didn't add the bit about dreamsicles or cotton candy, but he did say the rest of it. Today it's been reported that the administration is to roll back showerhead environmental standards after Trump complains about water pressure. And if that isn't enough, according to The Hill, a top campaign spokesman for President Trump went off on a Republican congressman who said earlier in the day that the QAnon conspiracy theory is a product of Russian propaganda or a basement dweller, and asserted that there is no place in Congress for these conspiracies. Now, this is from a Republican campaign person. The congressman was the first GOP lawmaker to criticize Marjorie Taylor Greene, a QAnon supporter who won in the GOP primary runoff for Georgia's 14th district. Oh boy, we're in a time, aren't we? I mean, what in the hell is this going on here? This Orwellian, Cthulhu, Lovecraft, whatever the hell's going on stuff. My gosh, man. These people are living in fantasy lands, and we're over here, we're electing them. I don't get it. I don't get it. But anyway, folks, you can make a difference. Do the minimum. Mask up. Distance. If we could have simply locked down for a few weeks, businesses would not have shut down for good. Unemployment would not be rising. The death rate would not be at 260 something thousand at this point. None of this stuff would be happening if we would have just had some discipline and listened to the science. What up? I see you out there. Dina, I want to thank everybody that stopped in tonight. Dina, Manny, Mandy. Yep, I appreciate you all. I want to remind you that this stuff is serious. It's not getting any better. It's going to get worse once these kids start packing to schools. We saw what happened in that Georgia situation with the kids going back to school and all that. Take care of your kids first. We can always make up that time. We will figure it out. After all, that's what we used to do in America. Figure shit out. I think we can do it now. I'm DJ Frosty Freeze. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment, and share the video. And please smash the Cash App for me. I appreciate the donations I got last week. Very much appreciated. And just a reminder that all my music shows and music mix shows are on mixcloud.com/DJ Frosty Freeze. And of course, livesets.com/DJ Frosty Freeze. Once again, that's mixcloud.com for your music mixes. I am DJ Frosty Freeze. You were live from the IceBox, and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.
Your girlfriend's favorite DJ, DJ Frosty Freeze.